I had them all line before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I had them all line before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I know the wall's closing in, but don't you dare give up now. Poe believed in me, pull up through some bucks down. Todd told the valet pull the truck round. Push the line after we drew it, it's just us now. Would you believe me if I told you my granny told me she prayed this? Then booked the surgery just to pull me out of the basement. Right back where I started, nothing to show for a facelift. Got pushed playing Walter White and Davis, never felt so dangerous. The type of power they can't quantify. And name the best from my region, you gotta utter mine. Think of who really putting on, you never come to mind. Rapping like your Spotify, tap you rappers compromise. Yeah, no need to panic, just paint the canvas. If you can feel the static, you're too close, find your balance. Embed the revolution for they prohibition bandwidth. Blood trickle from the leaders he was planning. I had them all line before I dial up. How they claiming they on top when I'm a mile up. I had them all line before I dial up. How they claiming they on top when I'm a mile up. Boy, that flight to Amsterdam. When my accountant and minus my family found out too and didn't like it. You're not in the salon with Dale said and I thought he was biased. Then I got a Venmo that said copy the finest. Before my foolishness settled in. Recorded a whole tape before we got to Berlin. This close to giving up and now never again. Don't overlook the work and come expecting to win. In the end, my word, never put nothing over the squad. Got it right up under their nose and try the facade. Off the cliff with broken wings, I'm aware of the odds. Enough faith for us all, I'm the one for the job. Most days, catching sun rays, baby, look like the front page. Overthinking what they might say, have it your way. Yeah, the biggest threat is something they never seen. Dial it up, patch me into the screen. I had them all line before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I had them all line before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up.
All right, so let's try that again. Hey, y'all. I hope you can hear me now. There's always a tech issue, always when you're doing this by yourself. Welcome to Luqman Live in Luqman Nation Live, the most dangerous show on social media, on the most dangerous platform on social media. Yes, I know there's something weird going on with the internet here. There's some bizarro kind of interference going on. I don't know what's going on, but I hope you can hear me now. At the very least, I hope the picture is better. It looks like it's clearing up. It's the feds. It's the man. You and I all know it is the man. But look, I'm glad you all joined me tonight. Because look, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in this country. Yes, Goddess, the executive producer, is cutting up again. Brewski Luqman, the executive producer or the executive snacker down here, he just tore up his bed, a nice new bed that I bought him. So he just chewed a hole in it, pulled the stuffing out. So I'm not buying him anything nice anytime soon. I wouldn't give him a tissue or a big napkin to eat up a little while ago. So now he's mad, and he is taking it out on me by chewing on his bone over here very, very loudly. So sorry, y'all. But yeah, so there's a lot going on in the news, and obviously the thing that everybody is talking about is the acquittal of the little killer, Kyle Rittenhouse. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. But before I do make a comment, just, look, if you're a member of Black Power Media, thank you. If you're not a member, join Black Power Media. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel right now. You can join Black Power Media. You can join the channel. You can also support Black Power Media on Patreon, patreon.com/Black Power Media, and support the brothers and sisters over here who are doing really, really good work, especially in times like these. All right, so Lord have mercy. The Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. I don't know what people were expecting. I mean, I honestly don't. We had a discussion about it on BPM yesterday morning on the Remix Morning Show, and Kamau Franklin, who is an attorney, expressed his concerns that with the video that was shown to the jury, he could understand why there would be an argument for self-defense. But here's the thing. There is an FBI video, a video of FBI aerial surveillance of the moments before Kyle Rittenhouse shoots and kills the first person. And I don't know if that was shown to the jury or not. I don't know if it was explained to the jury well. What I do know is that I don't know why people would have trusted the prosecutor to actually try that case against Kyle Rittenhouse, because clearly he did not. There was no way the prosecutor should have lost that case. But then again, when you're in front of a judge who clearly has a bias for the defendant, I mean, I don't know if any prosecutor won, but I do know that the fix was in for Rittenhouse to get off from the beginning, from the judge and his biases, and from the prosecutor and his lousy case that he put on, and obviously from the jury. So, look, white people ain't gonna give up another one of their own in this country. I think white people were like, look, we gave y'all Negroes Derek Chauvin. Don't stop asking, but we ain't doing no. So that's I understand it's hurtful to people who have just woken up to this thing of, racist police terrorism and racist vigilante violence and white supremacist vigilante violence. But this is not new to us. This is business as usual. And what we have to do in the aftermath of this verdict, and regardless of what happens in Georgia, what we have to do regardless of anything that happens is organize, organize, organize. That is always the truth, regardless of what this system decides to do. So that's all I'm going to say about Kyle Rittenhouse. So before I get into my little travelogue, I do want to say hello to all of my friends in the chat. David Silberg, what's going on? Ready Revolutionary 1, Lynn, Dream Child Mosley. I really hope I got that right. What's going on? Jason White, Hey, Lisa Catlett, how you doing? Leah Boggs, Ricky Ryan, Peace Africans, Goddess Crew, Julie Varagese, Deborah Rodriguez, Bukiki Muzaz, Gunnable of 21st Century. Who else we got in here? Well, we got a lot of folks. That's great. Who else? Who else? Going down. I think that's it. All right. Let's get into part 2 of my little travel log to Colombia. And I want to tell you tonight, the first half, probably the first 20, 25 minutes, going to be a lot of fun. But the last half is going to be very, very, very serious. And I think it is actually quite timely considering what just happened with this verdict and what may happen in these 2 trials, because there are 2 trials going on in Georgia. So let's get to it. Let's have a little fun. Let's see. Ta-da! Mrs. Luqman goes to Colombia, part 2. Moving like the masses, and a very, very important trip to a city called Buenaventura. See, I actually kind of got it right this week. So, okay, just to keep with where we left off last week, if you don't remember, but we left off last week with some dancing, right? Remember all that? I remember all that because just looking at it, my knees still kind of ache. I don't know what the heck got into me. I know the orishas got into me. That's what got into me. Actually, that's very true. So this was me after the reading by the Ialowo and the Ialowa and Babalowa, who are actually dancing with me. The cute little boy that you see is actually, his name is Ifa, and he is the son of an organizer down there. There's the Babalowa, who's dancing with me, and that's me getting down. And I hope you all can hear the sound from that video. I hope you can hear the music. Lord have mercy, my knees are aching right now. Like, child, what were you doing? But it was great. I had a wonderful time. I was doing something like that. Jackie la salsalera. I was trying. The baby was dancing. The Ialowa was dancing, the Babalowa was dancing, the Orishas were dancing, and I think if you saw a minute ago, Charo Mina Rojas, she came out, she was dancing. I don't know where Ajamu was at this point. I think he was still inside, but he was dancing too a little bit later on. But this was great, and I do like to go back and watch this because it was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful moment in my trip to Colombia. So yeah, I slept really good that night. I was just the heart was healed a little bit, but my knees were aching, but that's okay. I still slept really, really good. And the next day, and you know, because we did dance like until with the wee hours of the morning, but the next day we had to get up and go to the market, and that was a lot of fun. And this is the street leading to the market. I don't know what street it was, but I'm not great at taking a lot of pictures when I go on trips because I'm too busy doing stuff. But so there's the street as we're going into the market. And it's like a street full of markets, but there's a big central market, and I guess what you would call maybe downtown Cali. But there is my Ialowa and Charo Mina Rojas, and Charo shopping for more ceremonial supplies because I still had a cleansing that I had to do after the reading. So they're at the Botanica, which is like the store where they have all the religious supplies and iconography and all this kind of stuff. And this is my Ialawo, Maria Eugenia, and we are hanging out in the market. She's buying supplies. So I'm hanging out as they're shopping for stuff. I'm wandering around looking at stuff, and I was checking out all the neat icons that they have at the religious supply store. And I don't know why. I don't know why, but this dude up in the corner kind of caught my eye. I don't know. Maybe it's because he was, I don't know, maybe not as brightly colored as all the other icons. Maybe because he was, I don't know, maybe he didn't have any, maybe it's because he was naked, unlike the other icons. Or maybe it was because he is for the fellas, I guess. I don't know. I was a wee bit shocked by that. A little bit taken aback. Oh my. I don't know what. I guess everybody needs a little bit of help from the Orishas for all kinds of stuff. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. And it was just him in the corner all by himself. Everybody else was just kind of, Anyway. So I'm wandering around the market and I am, doing my thing. And I come upon someone who is selling chickens. So there is a chicken story in this. There is. And it's kind of funny. But first, we got to talk about the market itself. But the chicken story was, I was enthralled by the wall of chickens. And I'm like, hey, look at all those chickens they're selling. And then something else happened. But look, the market itself, it's the kind of place that I wish we had everywhere in this country. All manner of fresh fruit, vegetables, just everything you could possibly want. And Mr. Man is over there now digging in the trash can because I'm not paying any attention to him. All kinds of everything. There's fresh fruit, fresh vegetables. Everything is out there. There are dozens of vendors with. There isn't anything that I didn't see in this place as far as food was concerned that you could want. And I'm really not kidding. There were fruit and vegetables that I'd never seen before in my life. It was just, plenty of stuff that, of course, we recognize: tomatoes, potatoes, beans, that kind of stuff. But any food that you want, even fresh meat that is brought in freshly butchered, if you're into that kind of thing. Yes, there are actual fresh meat vendors there. And there will actually not only sell you cuts of meat, but they also had the capacity to grind meat for you. So if you wanted fresh ground beef, you could get a piece of beef and they could, grind the beef up for you. Yeah, I know. Potatoes, tomatoes, you name it. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience for me because I love that kind of stuff. I love fresh food. I love the accessibility of fresh food. And the interesting thing is, this was the big market, but that was in like the downtown developed area. But there was another market that I didn't take a picture of that was in an area that was like on the other side of town, which was like a little bit of a poorer area. But that was the same thing. It was fresh food, fresh meat. There's fresh food all over the place in Colombia. And it's a beautiful thing because people don't live there the way we do. They don't eat there the way we do. Most of their food is unprocessed. Most people go to the store almost every day. They don't have big refrigerators full of food that they keep for weeks and weeks at a time. They go to the market every day for fresh food. So this was another great part of the market. There is an herbalist right there in the market. and El Yerbernito, and she has her phone number and everything on there. I actually tried to call her. She doesn't answer. But just the fact that in a public market there is an herbalist selling everything. And here is the Babaloa, Carlos, buying herbs for some other ceremonies and for my cleansing that I needed to do. I think I did it the next day. So that was really fascinating to see in the middle of, well, not the middle, but in the market, that there's this woman there with every herb imaginable, everything that you can think of. So it was really, really fantastic to see that. I know, Leah. I keep pronouncing the titles incorrectly, but I'll get used to it because my Babalawo found me on Facebook. Carlos found me on Facebook, so he's gonna keep me straight. I think she probably didn't answer David because she didn't know who the heck I was. It was just some weird U.S. number. So that's okay. I'm not mad. But this is another picture of the herbs that she sells. And these look really familiar because I grow kale and collards. And last year I let the kale bolt. It overgrows. Basically, you don't harvest it. And the seeds grow at the top. And I swear, this stuff right here looks like the seeds, the bolted part of the kale plants that I grew. So I'm gonna check into that. I'm gonna see what happens. Now I need to be careful because you don't want to be growing stuff in this country without realizing that it's something else in another country, and you eat it thinking that it's edible and you can die. But if it's from a kale plant, I'm sure it's fine. So yeah, I'm gonna check that out because this looks so like the tops of the plant when I let the kale bolt. So I'm gonna see, and I'm gonna find out what it's good for because I have no idea. But she was selling a bunch of it. So So let's see. I don't know why I took a lot of time with that one. Okay, so this is this plant, and I'm actually boiling some of these leaves upstairs right now. This is the important part of indigenous cultural traditions and medicine, because this particular plant, and I didn't know anything about this at all. I have chronic kidney disease, and I'm somewhere in between the bottom of a stage 3 and the top of a stage 4. So I'm probably in stage 4, at least the last time I went to the doctor. And the doctors are, talking about, well, eventually we're going to have to start talking about a transplant and blah, blah, blah. And I'm not really crazy about that. Sorry about that. Let me go back. And so during the reading, the Orishas tell the Ialawo and the Babalawo that, they ask them to ask me, do you have sickness? Do you have problems with your joints? Do you have problems with your organs? These were the questions they asked. And I said, yeah, I do. I have arthritis in both knees. I don't have any cartilage in between my joints, and I have chronic kidney disease. So they bought a bunch of these plants for me, leaves. These are Hoja Santa leaves. I think they're sometimes called the sacred leaf. They're also sometimes called Maria Santa de Anis, I believe. But I boiled these, and I started doing this when I was in Colombia. I boil these, make a tea, and I drink the tea a few times a day like I would water. And they say that it would help cleanse my kidneys. So, this is just, I think, an example of the importance of indigenous traditions and medicine that we should not ignore just because it doesn't come from a doctor's office. Yeah, we can grow our own medicine. So I'll let you know how it works out, because I am actually doing this. All right, so we're hanging out. I got my hoja santa leaves, and I got a whole bunch of them. And then we're wandering around, and then we meet up again while I'm wandering around. So then they get all the supplies, so they decide, let's go get some fresh coconut water. And I said, okay, let's go get some fresh coconut water. Now I got to tell you, I'm not crazy about coconut water. It's never been tasty to me. But look, I'm a team player with my people, so they wanted to get coconut water, so I'm like, fine, let's go get some coconut water. So we did. And not only did we get coconut water, but we got a really nice display of how coconuts are peeled in the market. This is still in the market. And look at this dude peeling this coconut with this damn big ass machete. And he does this all day. Does this all day, every day. So he's peeling the coconut. And so the coconuts, the shells are used in part of the divination ceremony. But then he peeled another coconut and he gave us the water. And there you go. And he does a little dance for us. So that was really, really cool. How did it taste? I mean, it wasn't as terrible as the coconut water from the store. So I do think there is something to what people are saying, like Deborah Rodriguez is saying, you got to drink it straight from the cocoa. I think you may. I'll give that. Yeah, I agree. It does taste better directly from the coconut. You're right, Leah. It's a great source of electrolytes. Interestingly enough, coconut water is actually not great for my kidneys. So that's something I have to talk to my nephrologist about, who, incidentally, is a Caribbean black woman who is very serious about black people with kidney disease returning to an ancestral diet. So I gotta, talk to her about, the kind of stuff. But the Orishas did tell my priest and priestess to tell me to drink coconut water. Yeah, I'm gonna try, but But anyway, okay, so that was the market. So now the chicken story. Okay, so here I am, standing at the that wall of chickens, right? And I'm just so tickled because, like, oh my God, they're selling chickens. And it's not like I've never seen live chickens before. I grew up on a farm, pretty much. My grandparents had animals. They had pigs. They had a couple of cows, and and my mom actually grew up with chickens. I've been around, but I don't know why I was just so tickled about the chickens. And it didn't dawn on me. There was no connection in my mind about the chickens and the spiritual ceremony that I had just experienced and that I still had to do. So I'm just, giddy about the chickens. So we leave the market and we go to another store because they have to get some other supplies. And I'm not paying any attention to anything, anybody has, because I'm offering, can I pay for something? Can I help you get something? And like, no, we've got it. So I'm like, all right. I'm wandering around, seeing the sights and looking at the things and, feeling up people's vegetables and things, just having a good time. And I do not notice that Carlos has a box, like a big box with a string around it, until we get to another store outside of the market where they have to get some other supplies. So Maria Eugenia and I are sitting outside with all of the bags and things. Charo goes to another store to get some other stuff. And that's when so Maria Eugenia and I are sitting outside, and I'm looking around, and the box that I had not noticed before moved. And that's when I noticed the box. And I'm like, what is going on? So the box moves again, and then I noticed the feathers coming out of the top of the box. And that's when I realized there was a chicken in the box. And I'm still not making the connection between the chicken and the religious ceremonies. Totally not. I'm just still really full of that whole market thing was so much fun and it was so great. We get a taxi home back to the house. I prepare for, I had my cleansing that day. So I let them do the things they needed to do for the cleansing. I actually couldn't look at some of the things. So I think I went out later on that afternoon with the Jamu. I think we did. Yeah, we went out later on that afternoon. So I wasn't there. But they put the box with the chicken in it, like up against the wall in the dining room. So when we left, the box with the chicken in it was there. When we came back, like several hours later, and I think that was the night I went out to dinner with the Jamu. Maria Eugenia and Charo and Carlos were doing readings for several people. So they had a lot of ceremonies and stuff to do. So Ajamu and I went out. So we were out for a few hours. So we come back. Carlos is sitting at the dinner table eating chicken. And I'm still not making the connection between the chicken in the box and the chicken that Carlos is now eating in any of the ceremonies, until like the next day when Ajamu and I were going out to Buenaventura. We were going to take the trip up to Buenaventura to Pianquita Beach. And as we're getting in the taxi to go to the transport station, a guy on a moped comes up with a box and there's another chicken in the box. And I'm still, just because I'm all excited about going to the beach. So they bring the chicken in the house, and I'm like, what is up with the chicken? So we go to the beach, and then when we come back the next day, I think it was, the chicken is still there. And then later that day, then I couldn't see because I was not involved in that reading. I heard what happened to the chicken. And then I don't know why I was so daft about what was going on with the chicken. But yes, a couple of chickens gave their lives for my and several people's spiritual edification. And that was very, very interesting. And I just thought it was so funny. And interestingly, what I did notice was that the reason that Carlos was eating the chicken was because that is what happens with the sacrifices. They're not just, it's not just the stuff you see in the movies, y'all, is just so ridiculous. The animals are eaten. There's nothing that it's just, yeah. So, but yes, so this bracelet was blessed with one of those offerings from the chicken. So thank you very much, chicken. R.I.P. All right. So back to the trip. And here we get to the part that is a lot of fun, but this is where we're going to get into some of the serious stuff, because now we go to the beach. And all right, this is the fun part of the trip, because this is Ajamu and I on our way to Pianquita Beach, which is on the outskirts of Buenaventura. We are about to hop in a cab and go to the transportation center. And this is very important because the way people travel in Colombia, and I suspect it's the way people travel in a lot of places that are not the United States, they travel long distances in these like 9 to 12 passenger passenger vans, right? So that's the way everybody travels, and we could have rented a car, but Ajamu was really insistent on traveling the way the masses do, and so was I, because that's what I like doing. I don't like doing the whole luxury kind of thing when I go to places. I like to do what regular people do, and that was fine. You can see Ajamu sitting behind me in the passenger van. And, that was fine. And these are some pictures of us traveling from Colombia, from the transportation center, going on our way through the mountains up to Buenaventura to the beach, because you have to go up the mountains on the other, to get there. Very, very beautiful. I have a thing for mountains. I don't know why. I just do. I think they're beautiful and lovely. And so we're going up now. You can see part of the city that we're leaving down below here on this side. We're traveling up the mountain. And there is, as you can see, there are little towns on the way, all up the road up to Buenaventura. And this is one of those towns. I don't know what the name of the town was, but the town is literally like on the road. So you can see the mountains in the background, and you can see how people are kind of, just doing the best with what they have. Colombia is not a rich country. There are a lot of poor people in Colombia. And you can see kind of the poverty, but you can see where people are really just making the best of what they have. So I just thought this was really neat, just to see, how folks live. And because Cali is in a valley, there are mountains on every side. And there's a big old mountain range that not separates, but is surrounding Colombia. Ecuador is on the end of that mountain range. And people live, there are little towns and communities and villages all up and down these mountains. And unfortunately, this is when I started to get car sick. Because there is not a straight road from Cali to Buenaventura. There's no. And I have never gotten car sick in my life. Never, ever have I gotten car sick until now, until this trip. And it was because in the passenger van, the first 3 rows of seats in front of me were high, so I couldn't see out the front window. So all I experienced was the feeling of the van going like this up, and then you've got the altitude change. My stomach is just like, what the fuck is going on? I cannot see, so I start to get car sick. I don't throw up, but I am prepared when I travel, because I always bring like a first aid kit. I always bring a little thing of Dramamine. Always bring some antacids and that kind of stuff. So I had my Dramamine with me, and I did not get sick. I didn't lose my breakfast, but man, I think I was able to take 2 videos looking out the side of the window, going up to Buenaventura, and that was all I could do. It was about a 3-hour trip, 3.5 hours. And man, after that first hour, 2 hours of that trip was absolutely miserable. I tried to enjoy the beauty, but once I arrived at Buenaventura, at the pier in Buenaventura, I felt better because, the van stopped moving. And I was able to get out. And this is the pier at Buenaventura. It is absolutely beautiful. The day was absolutely beautiful. The people were very nice and lovely. And here is me and a Jamu on the boat. The water taxi, if you will, that would take us from the pier of Buenaventura to Pianquita Beach. So we get our life vests.
All right, Ajamu, where are we going? Where are we? Where are we going?
We're going to the Masses Beach, Pianquita, on the outskirts of Buenaventura in Colombia.
Cool.
We're just check it out. Nice little boat ride. Some good fresh fish. And enjoyed the day. Today is another one of Colombia's holidays. They have like just about one a month.
Well, it's a beautiful day out here. Looking forward to the beach. And we'll see what's what when we get there.
Okay, I did have a little bun at the beginning of our trip. I did. My bun was cute too. But that didn't last long.
How you doing, Jackie?
I'm doing all right. This is actually more fun than the damn bus ride up and down.
Okay.
This is okay. Great.
Here's the other shot. Yes. Here's the other shot. Is where we at? There's our driver back here. So we got the whole boat to ourselves.
So, on our way to the beach, just gonna be monkey ride, but it's beautiful out, warm. The water is warm, feeling really excited. Muy emocionada. Muy emocionada.
Say.
So yeah, I thought that because I felt so, and I know I missed my I got a typo right there. I thought that I would have a hard time with the boat ride, as hard as I had with a harder time as I had with the ride in the van. But the boat ride was great. It was great. I loved it. Yes, that boat was tiny as hell. And we were the only ones in it. So that ride was really rocky. Dude was actually kind of speeding, Ricky, because he was sort of mad at us. Because they were trying to separate me and Ajamu on the pier. And Ajamu was not having it. So we ended up in the, making this dude take us by ourselves, and he was just punishing us going as fast as he was. So every wave was like, every wave was painful, and it wasn't even wave, just, bumps, painful. But I didn't have a problem. My stomach was fine. It was great. I had other than the pain in my behind, despite what people say, all this padding does not help you when you are in a boat like that. We got there, we survived, and we did. It was actually a lot of fun. And I think they tried to separate us because one boat was full and they were trying to get one more person on. So they were like, well, he can go with them and you just follow in this boat. And yeah, we don't do that. You know the rule, y'all. You go with who you came with. That's what, yeah. So, okay, so this is one of the many black coastal, that's supposed to be coastal with an L at the end, communities that you will see along the way to Buenaventura, to the beach, rather, I'm sorry, at Pianquita. And this is us arriving at Pianquita Beach. Now, the funny thing is, this is another funny thing. So there are people who, and I think these are like some of the guys right there, who will offer, you have to get out of the boat and kind of walk, in the water up to the beach. So, you have to get your stuff and they'll take your bags. But there are guys that will actually offer to like carry you onto the beach so that your feet won't get wet. And this little skinny dude, little teeny skinny dude, he comes up to me and he's like, I carry you? I'm like, bruh, I will probably drown you. But Ajamu was all, Jackie, these are Africans. He will put you on his head and he would just carry you. You don't know, these are some strong Africans. It was just needless to say, I hopped out of the boat myself and walked myself on up to the beach. Ain't nobody carrying me. I ain't doing that. So, okay, we arrive at Pianquita Beach. Excuse me. And look at that. Your girl is ready for the sun, y'all. Ready for the sun. Beat my bun all the way down. I don't have a bun anymore. Damn boat ride just destroyed the bun. Throw on my bathing suit. I'm ready to go. Ajamu is silly. People don't realize how funny this man is. He is a wonderful, wonderful comrade. So this is our view from the dining area of the beach. The dining area of the place where we stayed is right on the beach. And I want to make sure that I point out, that I highlight what Ajamu said when he said the people's beach. This is the public beach. This beach is not a part of a resort on Pianquita. This is the public beach where working class and poor folks go. So, and to me, it was beautiful. So, this is the dining area. Ain't nothing fancy. This is the beach. Also, this is a view from the dining area. People hanging out. Beautiful day. Gorgeous day. The great thing about this beach is, unlike places like Virginia Beach and Myrtle Beach here, like you go to the beach here and there's like this drop off from the shore to there's no drop off here. Like the shore goes out to like 1.5 miles. So when the tide comes in where the water is now, I mean, the ground is like, there's not a drop off. So I can't swim. So this made me very happy that I could go farther out in the water and not afraid to be, that I'm going to drown my fool self. So, because I do love water, and the Oishas, this is why Yamaya is my guide. I do love water, but I cannot swim. So, all right, so this is a view from the dining area, and these are just some more pictures of the area, of the beach. Oh, I'm sorry. Fresh fish? Yeah. Fresh. That fish came from that water. That was just, and it was delicious. It was, I miss it. I'm remembering the taste right now. And they had a fish soup that was so good. I have never tasted a fish soup that good over here. Oh my gosh, it was delicious. And this place was the kind of place where, somebody who likes an American or European who likes to travel and likes exclusive accommodations would never go. But the food was the best I have had almost anywhere. So big up to the Pacific Afro-Colombians. Another great thing about this beach is that the sand is actually black. Unlike a lot of beaches, as you can see, those are my legs and my toes, and that is the sand that is black. And I love that aspect of the beach. And it's black and it's warm, like me. Huh. Oh, I think I said soft or plump or something or other like that. Oh, thick. That's what it was. Yeah. The sand is black, soft, and thick. Like me. Like your girl. Yeah. So, yeah, I had a lovely time that day. These are some more pictures of the beach. We got there a little bit like in the middle of the day, so we didn't have the whole day to just enjoy ourselves, but it was enough. It was enough. It was lovely. Um, some more pictures. And just an incredible, incredible view, not just of the ocean, not just of the Pacific Ocean, but of the coastline. Nice little lagoon here. And as you can see, the mountains in the distance and the cloud shrouded mountains. I don't know what my thing is for mountains. I don't need to climb them. I just think I just think they're beautiful. And these were some really, really stunning pictures on the beach that day. Some more pictures of the cloud shrouded mountains. Just amazing. So there are stray dogs and cats, and I don't know if you can really call them strays. I call them community critters because clearly they eat. People feed them. There was a little community cat hanging out with us when we ate, and I tossed him a little piece of fish. The cat literally came and laid down under the table where we were sitting. We were the only people in the dining area, so I gave the cat a piece of fish, and the gentleman looked at me and he was like, "Did you feed that cat?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, he's just, I'm a socialist. Of course I fed the cat." So that, to my amusement, there were community critters all over the place. It was really wonderful to see. But, all right, let's talk seriously about something about this beach, and that is the debris. Because that's a serious issue, and that's the serious part of this discussion. Because people, and I looked at some media reports, talking about, all the trash on Pianquita Beach. It's destroying the beach. And it's interesting because in the morning, the people who work there go out to the beach with rakes and wheelbarrows and rake up the trash that gets brought in from the tide every day. And you think about it, like if you go to a beach here in the U.S., you'll see somebody driving a big machine that cleans the beach. That kind of stuff, that kind of infrastructure doesn't exist in Buenaventura, at least. I can't tell you about the rest of the country, but I can tell you about Buenaventura because Buenaventura is a poor city. It's a city it's not a poor city. It's a city full of poor people, and they're kept poor by design. So the trash that gets washed up on this beach, yes, comes from the nearby community in Buenaventura because they have no infrastructure. I mean, these people don't have running water, but maybe twice a week. So, they don't have, really good sewage or trash pickup services. But the beach is also located where it is in the path of a body of water that is the opening of a bunch of other tributaries from other places. So that trash doesn't just come from Buenaventura. It comes from a lot of places. So that trash is not, like, in my estimation, a result of the irresponsibility of the people of Buenaventura who are poor. That is I think that trash is a symbol of capitalism and environmental and the environmental destruction that comes with capitalism. That's I think the issue with that trash. But Buenaventura is a very, very important city when we're talking about struggle. And we just had this trial here in the United States, where, of course, people are upset about the outcome in the Rittenhouse trial, and then the trial of Ahmaud Arbery's killers is still going on in Georgia, and people are wondering what's going to happen with that. Well, Buenaventura was the scene of a massive uprising in 2017 that we should really know about and understand. And it's a shame that we don't know about it here in the U.S., because we all heard about the national strike earlier this year. But the uprising in Buenaventura actually preceded the national strike and laid the groundwork for it. So I'm going to give you some information, share with you some information about the protests in Buenaventura that are very, very important for us to know. So this is an article that was published in a piece in an outlet called Red Pepper. And they talk about the strike in Buenaventura. This was in 2017. And the issue they point out is that Buenaventura is Colombia's most important port city. And people in Buenaventura who are majority Afro-Colombian descent, they're mostly black, protested across the Colombian Pacific starting on May 16th, 2017. People in the community set up roadblocks around the city, and they shut down those routes for trade and commerce. They shut the city down, keeping the port of Buenaventura from doing business. And they held that city for 22 days. They stopped traffic in and out of the city. And other than like for emergency vehicles like ambulances, they shut down all the businesses. Entire families were involved in these protests. And why were they protesting? Because the government of Colombia abandoned the people of Buenaventura. The Nobel Peace Prize winning president at the time, Juan Manuel Santos, I don't know how he won a Nobel Peace Prize, but he did, was particularly vicious by ordering military attacks on the city by land, sea, and air, with police and military and Navy units. And so lots of people died in Buenaventura. Lots of African people died in Buenaventura, shutting the city down to protest against the lack of any kind of infrastructure that the government of Colombia should have been providing, but wasn't. The strikes lists of demands you can see here included a hospital, because they'd shut the hospital down. There was the only hospital in the city. The hospital was shut down. Decent, clean, and reliable water service. Employment that provides a dignified existence, and an end to environmental destruction in the area. Remember what I just said about the trash on the beach at the beach at Pianquita? That's not the people of Buenaventura. So why is this happening? Because Buenaventura is where about 75 to 80% of Colombia's imports and exports go. That's how important that port is. Almost all of the goods that come in and go out of Colombia go through Buenaventura, that black city. So the profits for the corporations have been huge, and the country's tax revenue and wealth comes through that city in that port, through that port. But the people in the city don't see any of that revenue. They don't see any of that wealth. They don't see any of that understanding. And this is why we in the United States need to understand this. This is why this should be important to us, because the Colombian government has signed 17 free trade agreements, including with the EU, the European Union, and the United States. So the people in Buenaventura were so resolute in shutting that port down, defying any kind of whatever the Colombian government threw at them, even though they lost people. People died during the repression. They pushed the government in Buenaventura to come to some type of agreement with the community leaders, the Afro-Colombian Pacific community leaders, to establish a fund for the people of Buenaventura to manage themselves. All right. So that is what happened in Colombia, in the city of Buenaventura in particular, in 2017. Those talks, and this was after those African people in that city blocked off the entrance and exit to that city for 22 days in the face of police and military, brutal police and military repression. And as you go into Buenaventura, even today, you still see military units stationed at the bridge where the entrance to the city is, because now the government wants to make sure they put down quickly any uprising that happens again. But let's go back to these trade agreements, because the trade agreements and the involvement of the U.S. government are very, very important, because it involves something that we talk about quite often in the United States, and that is neoliberalism. So this is a piece from the from NACLA, and this was from 2019, where they outline the rise of neoliberal economics in Colombia, specifically focusing on the port in Buenaventura. And here they mention in this picture the port in Buenaventura, where residents held a 22-day civic strike to protest ongoing investment in the port instead of investing in local residents. In this article, they talk about Plan Colombia. Plan Colombia is very important to the suffering, the economic and military and police brutality, the suffering that Afro-Colombians are experiencing today, because Plan Colombia comes from this country. It was an agreement that was cooked up between President of Colombia at the time, Andres Pastrana, I think that was his name, and U.S. President Bill Clinton in 1999. So ever since then, and actually before then, because the port was so important, is so important to Colombia, the port was privatized in like 1993. So then the United States and Colombia came up with this Plan Colombia, obviously for corporate interests to profit. And the land that surrounds the port, where Afro-Colombian people live, well, that's being sold off. And some of it's not even being sold off. Some of that land is being stolen. And that land is being taken from African people in Colombia by unconscionable violence. So this article is pretty long, is very detailed. They talk about the rise in killings that are connected to the neoliberal economics and the Plan Colombia, and they specifically mention shock doctrine. because that reminds me of Naomi Klein's book, The Shock Doctrine, which talked about the rise of neoliberalism in Chile. So it's Plan Colombia is the Chicago Boys, the BRIC economic plan that was implemented by Bill Clinton and is still in force today. People are still fighting against this neoliberal plan in Colombia, in this African community in Buenaventura. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat for you as well, so you can read this at your leisure. I encourage you to read this article. And I want to also point out that when we talk about, we don't have anything to do with those people over there, internationalism, we don't need to deal with that. We need to get our own stuff straight first. And we can listen. The struggles of working class and poor people around the world are almost all of them directly connected to the policies that come from this country and this government. And it doesn't matter which political party is in office, because President Biden hasn't done a damn thing to rescind Plan Colombia. Not a damn thing. As a matter of fact, the Biden administration has given the right-wing government of Ivan Duque, the president of Colombia, the present president of Colombia, has given his government billions of dollars that the Afro-Colombian and indigenous people who are in the streets fighting for their rights have never seen, haven't seen. They ain't gonna see it. So that let's be clear that we're not talking about one particular president or one particular administration being worse than the other. No, they're all neoliberals. All of these politicians are neoliberals, and they know that people in Colombia are dying. They know what's going on in Colombia, because let's see, where is it? Here we go. How do I know politicians in the U.S. know that Afro-Colombians and indigenous Colombians are dying? Because Colombians have gone or come to the United States to testify about the violence they are suffering. This is from Foreign Policy. And this is from a little earlier this year. This is from, April 23rd, 2021. And they report here that Jean Giero Castro Balanta came to Washington during negotiations over the U.S.-Colombia Trade Promotion Agreement in 2011 to testify to Congress about the poor labor conditions and the violence against people in Colombia. But people are still being killed. Protesters are still being killed. Activists are still being killed, especially Afro-Colombian and indigenous activists. Their families are still being targeted in Colombia. So U.S. politicians know full well what's going on as far as the violence is concerned in Colombia. But as long as their businesses continue to make money, they don't care. So what is going on in Colombia has everything to do with us. Not only because the people who are experiencing this state-sanctioned and state-directed violence and terrorism look like us, as well as the indigenous people in Colombia, but it has everything to do with us because it is this government that is using money that, where's our health care? We could only get $1.2 trillion for an infrastructure bill for all of the infrastructure issues that we have. But President Biden could give the Colombian right-wing government a couple $billion so the Colombian right-wing government could violently repress Afro-Colombians and indigenous Colombians. And every president before Biden has done it since Bill Clinton. Has everything to do with us, because this is what imperialism is. And protests continue. And as far as, what it has to do with us, why are we, why should we care about what goes on in other countries? We can't focus on those people. Look, all of the struggles of working class and poor people around the world are connected. And everybody else around the world gets that. Where this is in The Conversation, an outlet called The Conversation. This is from 2017 when the protests in Buenaventura just happened. They linked the protests in Colombia with the protests in 2017 in South Africa. Why? Because inequality links them both, or linked them both. Both countries, they point out here, have highly entrenched inequality, with class, ethnicity, and skin color defining from birth the opportunities available to their citizens. According to the World Bank, Colombia and South Africa are among the top 10% of the world's least equal countries. How are we talking about we want equality here? We don't have equality here. We're fighting for equality here in this country when people who look like us, people who we're literally connected to by DNA in other countries, are suffering the same kind of inequality for the exact same reasons that we are. And how does that not concern us? It absolutely does. Our struggle is connected with theirs. So our answer to our struggles are also connected. And at the time, they pointed out that both countries were in the midst of national transitions. South Africa was trying to move beyond the apartheid area, and Colombia was seeking peace after half a century of armed conflict. Now, the armed conflict they're talking about involved the FARC. And that FARC is the Fuerzas Armadas Revolucionarios de Colombia. Sorry, I'm not great with pronunciations yet. But it's the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. And what we need to know about them, and I need to do some more research on them myself, is they were Marxist-Leninist. They were practically a peasant army. They promoted agrarianism and anti-imperialism. And that's why the U.S. government hatched up Plan Colombia to allegedly fight narco trafficking in Colombia. But what they were really doing was funding the training of the Colombian military to destroy FARC. All right. Sounds like Nicaragua. Sounds like El Salvador, because it is. It's the same plan. All right. So, and I know there's plenty of history about FARC that I don't know. Willing to, definitely going to learn more. But in a nutshell, that's what we're talking about here. So actually, the protests in Colombia have been going on since before 2017. There were protests since 2012. Peasants, educators, Afro-descendants, indigenous people, coca leaf farmers, truck drivers. People were just continually protesting this right-wing government in Colombia that the U.S. had propped up with its Plan Colombia since 1999. And something that I think we can learn, especially now as we're talking about, now what do we do now that, this verdict in this trial seems to have given white supremacist vigilantes permission to just shoot protesters. The people in Colombia are not afraid. They've already been violently repressed by this government. So many people have been killed by the government, and then the government turns around and blames, violent narco trafficking gangs. And I'm not saying that is not a reality. Yes, they exist. But most of the violence against people, especially protesters and activists, is the government of Colombia. It's the military. It's the police that's committing the violence. And here again, Buenaventura is mentioned. They talk about the general strike there. This is, yes, an actual picture of the port, the trucks at the port that were set on fire. Because people were not kidding. They were like, ain't nothing coming in and out of this joint. Because this country makes an enormous amount of money from this port and we get none of it. And that has to stop. So this is, I hope I'm going to play this little video for you of the protest from 2017. Look at these people. They're chanting, "We will not surrender." Don't most of those people look like you and me and our people that we know? Don't most of them people look like us? What you mean we don't have anything to do with them? And look at that. There are young women. There are children out there. There's some older folks. I mean, these people were not playing. So they point out in this article that Buenaventura is a case of state abandonment, but it's not alone. Across the country, Afro-descendants and indigenous populations are subjected to the same treatment. And even as an agreement between the government and the people of Buenaventura ended with the government promising to invest $150 million in Buenaventura, then the teachers had to go on strike because they were still being treated like shit. Right? So, look, our people in Colombia are not playing. They understand that the struggle continues even when they push the government to the table to meet some demands, to do something. They keep going. They're not accepting crumbs. And I want to come down to this video of a Colombian, Afro-Colombian
En Colombia hay unas legislaciones especiales para afros e indígenas a partir de la Constitución del 91. Eso garantiza unos derechos constitucionales, pero en el desarrollo del conflicto, esta población ha sido desproporcionadamente afectada, la cual amerita un tratamiento especial o diferencial y no se puede meter o poner a competir con el resto de la población cuando ellos han sido mayormente afectados. Una paz de territorio o una paz territorial, que es lo que se viene manejando desde la mesa de negociaciones entre el gobierno, la guerrilla, es ilógico. Es ilógico pensar que una paz territorial no incluye a su población, especialmente en el Pacífico colombiano, que son afros e indígenas, y que entre el 70 y 80% del territorio está reconocido para estas poblaciones. Lo que estamos pidiendo hoy es inclusión, y eso es justo, y eso es, digamos, lógico.
So what he just said there, I'm going to drop this in the chat for you as well, was that the the Afro-Colombian people on the Pacific coast, that's where Buenaventura is, on the Pacific coast of the country, and the indigenous people they have title to 70 to 80% of the land. But that land is prime real estate for the expansion of the port in Buenaventura. So this raises the issue or the question of, okay, we talk about land back, which is, yes, we need that. But what's to stop the state, the government, from doing to us exactly what it's doing to the people in Colombia who have title to that land, where multinational corporations can come in and threaten, harass people, burn their communities down, chase people out of their communities by gunpoint in order to get their land. So you have to change the system in addition to ensuring that people have land. So this is what they are struggling against in Colombia. Yes, the Afro-Colombian and indigenous people have the land, they have title and rights to the land, but how do they keep the government from pushing people off the land? So there's a lot in that, but the young man who was speaking is actually the head of the organization that arranged a conference that we went to later in the week. And I'm going to talk about that in a later show, but that is a very sensitive subject because it was another example of how capitalism and the state are really, really quick to come in and co-opt an idea. And the only reason they do that is because the idea is a threat to them. So that's something that I'm gonna hopefully be able to talk about in a future show. But you know, protests do continue in Colombia to this very day. This article is from March 2021. Let's see, is it this one? Yes, this one. This is from March 2020. May 2021. From the conversation again. And what was that again? About how we're not connected to these people. They see us in the streets here and they take some inspiration from us. So we have an unrealized symbiotic connection to each other's struggle. We just don't know it because obviously neither one of our governments want us to know that they look at us and they see us struggle and they feel so connected by our struggle here that they say the same things we do in their struggle. This was, again, this from 2021, so they're still protesting. And they talk about how Afro-Colombians make up about 10% of Colombia's 50 million people, but it's 85, but they're 85% of Buenaventura's population. And many of those people actually came from other parts in Colombia, like Bogota, as you know, refugees from the war or other areas to escape armed conflict between the government and FARC. This picture I absolutely wanted to share with you about the conditions in Colombia, because as you're driving in Buenaventura, because as I said, as you're riding into the city, across the bridge that connects Buenaventura to the rest of the, to the main highway, there are military units with out there. And obviously I wasn't going to take a picture of them but this is not unusual. This is how our people live, under the threat of the gun in Buenaventura. And a lot of that money for a lot of that equipment comes from guess where. They talk in this article about Buenaventura. Many of the neighborhoods lack drinkable water, trash pickup, functioning sewers. Sewage runs underneath the houses near the port, flows into the Pacific Ocean. Poor medical care in the city. Clinics don't have the supplies or capacity to treat patients. Buenaventura residents have to go to hospital in Cali, which is 3 hours away. 75% unemployment rate, 64% poverty rate. So of course, what do the youth do? They turn to crime to eat. What else is there? And because of all of this, people are still protesting, saying Black Lives Matter in Colombia, or Las Vidas Negras Importan. That became a theme in the recent protest as people continue to struggle against the repression and the inequality they suffer. And that agreement that I talked about earlier, that was actually just finalized, I think, like the week or two before my visit to Colombia. So listen, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun going to Colombia. It was, I am sincerely, I'm not kidding when I say that, it is now on my top 5 list of places to, in the world to retire to, because I cannot see myself retiring in this country. I cannot see myself doing it. But I say that understanding that no matter where I go in this world, I'm going to have to struggle, because our people are struggling everywhere in this world. And the more I go to different places around the world, the more I travel. And I was so happy during my reading that that my Iyalawo told me that the Orishas said that Yamaya will, and no, I think it was Oja will take me to many places. That made me very, very happy, because I do love to travel, but I don't like to travel just for the sake of having somewhere to go. I love to experience different cultures and different foods and all that kind of good stuff. But when I go to another country, I want to connect with my people. I want to connect with our people, because I know we everywhere. And I want to learn what they're struggling against, how they're struggling against it, so it can help me inform how we need to struggle here. So I'm very happy that Oya or Yamaya will take me to many places in this life, because the international connection between Africans in the United States and in North America in general, and in the Americas and in the rest of the world, is absolutely critical to us all winning against our collective enemy. We all have the same enemy. It doesn't matter if we are here in Washington, D.C. It doesn't matter if we're in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It doesn't matter if we are in Georgia. It doesn't matter if we're in Nicaragua, in El Salvador, Cuba, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Colombia, South Africa. Our enemy is the same. It's capitalism, it's imperialism, it's white supremacy, it's militarism, it's classism. Our enemy is the same. So when I travel and I see the way our people are struggling against our collective enemy, and let's be clear, not all of our people all over the world are even engaged in this struggle. That's never been a thing. So I would love for us to drop this idea that we can't do anything unless we're all in the movement. That's never been true of any group of people. Never, ever. So I don't know why we set this wild, unrealistic high bar for ourselves that all 40 million of us here in the United States need to be radicals, and that's not going to happen. It has never happened. but every one of our radical leaders who came before us, from Claudia Jones to Ella Baker to Fannie Lou Hamer to Malcolm X to Martin Luther King to Medgar Evers, to Kwame Ture, Sekou Odinga, Assata Shakur, bless the ancestors and the Lord that she's still here. All of these people who came before us and struggled before us all knew the importance of the connection to the struggle of all of our people throughout the world. That's the only way we are going to win. I know this is true. I know in my bones this is true, because if that international connection were not important, why the fuck do the powers that be work so hard to keep us from knowing everything I just told you right now? If it weren't important, if what the people in Buenaventura did in March of 2017 wasn't important, if what they did over that 22 days, those African people in Buenaventura, wasn't important, if how they did it wasn't important, you would have known about it before I told you. It would have been all over the Western press, but it wasn't. What the Western media does not tell us about places in the world where people who look like us and indigenous people are struggling, what they do not tell us is far more important than what they tell us. That is why we exist. That's why I do what I do. That's what me and Abdus started this platform for. So I really loved my trip to Colombia. And this is, there's more stuff. There are a few more fun things that we did, but I absolutely, deeply, deeply appreciate Ajamu Baraka insisting that we go to Buenaventura, because we need to connect how we struggle with how our people in other countries are continuing to struggle and surviving under repression that, honestly, I'm just going to say it, is far worse than what we're seeing here. I'm not diminishing that repression, the repression that we are experiencing here. I'm not at all. But if we are serious about winning, if we're serious about defeating this beast and destroying this system, we cannot believe that we are ever going to accomplish destroying the system here so that only we can win, and then not caring about the tendrils of this system that have stretched out across the globe and affect our people all over the rest of the world. Our people who are in the struggle in other places in the world, they don't see it that way. They don't see it that way at all. They recognize that there needs to be international solidarity. So I think that, as I said, I tweeted a little bit earlier today that, with everything in my being, y'all, I'm serious. Please get your passport. I absolutely know that it's way too damn expensive, but shit, if you got to do a GoFundMe to get those fees to get your passport, if you got to get some funds from get some reparations from some allies to get your passport, please do it for two reasons. So that you can make these international connections yourselves, so that you can go and see the rest of the world and encounter our people in the rest of the world, get immersed in our cultures all over the place, and see the beauty of our people all over the place, even in struggle, and to learn from the struggles of our people all over the world. So, this is my first travel log. I thought it was pretty neat. I was so incredibly touched by this trip, not least because it happened so soon after my husband died, and I needed this spiritual salve for my spirit and my soul, but also politically, yeah, I needed this. This like a shot of I needed this to confirm that I'm doing the right work and to propel me on to continue that work. So as I wrap up here, oh, look, James Thompson, thank you so much. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you, your support. I appreciate y'all very much. Thank you for the sticky. Someone, let's see. Why not learn? Okay. Well, I understand that. I actually don't have Cash App, cause my our Cash App got hacked. But you can support Luqman Nation on Patreon. You can support Luqman Nation on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/Luqman Nation. And you can do a monthly contribution. You can do a yearly contribution, but you can also drop Mrs. Luqman a dime. Where, let me see. Let me let me find it. Let me find it. Oh no. That's what I forgot to do. Okay. You can find me. You can drop me a dime, Luqman Nation Media, on PayPal. There you go. And you can support Luqman Nation on Patreon. Let me drop it. Uh-oh. No, that's not what I'm looking for. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Not user, damn it. There we go. Luqman Nation. This is where you can find me on Luqman Nation. So, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all very much. Again, don't forget to support Black Power Media on Patreon. Join, subscribe. Black independent media is, let me say that, let me change that. Black radical independent media is incredibly important. Not because of what, we do, but because of what we all do. But because of the stories and the information that we all bring on this platform to you. And next week is not going to be any different. I am working on some interviews for next week about centered around the struggle of our people in Swaziland. I am working on an interview with someone centered around the struggle of low-income residents and tenants here in Southeast Washington, D.C. Remix Morning Show will have a bunch of great segments, stories, interviews. We got a lot of work to do. Please stay tuned to Black Power Media and Luqman Nation. Thank you all so much for joining me. And as always, y'all be very, very good to yourselves and be very, very good to each other. Peace if you're willing to fight for it. Y'all have a good night.
I had them all down before I dial up. How they came and they on top and I'm a mile up. Had them online before I dial up. How they claiming they on top and I'm a mile up. I know the wall's closing in, but don't you give up now. Poe believed in me, pull up through some bucks down. Todd told the valet pull the truck round. Push the line after we drew it, it's just us now. Would you believe me if I told you my granny told me she prayed this? Then booked the surgery just to pull me out of the basement. Right back where I started, nothing to show for a facelift. Got pushed playing Walter White and Davis, never felt so dangerous. The type of power they can't quantify. And name the best from my region, you gotta utter mine. Think of who really putting on, you never come to mind. Rapping like your Spotify, tap you rappers compromise. Yeah, no need to panic, just paint the canvas. If you can feel the static, you're too close, find your balance. Embed the revolution for their prohibition bandwidth. Blood trickle from the lead to see what's planted. I had them all online before I dialed up.